Well, you mentioned Praz recently. So I interviewed Praz, and the one thing that I brought up, which got a lot of people surprised, was that during Obama's second election, Praz actually donated 1.2 million of his own money to a Democratic super PAC. You donated 1.2 million dollars to Barack Obama's campaign?
Yo, where you getting these information from?
Is that not true?
I'm starting to think you CIA, man.
Hey man, this is
Yeah, I
what
mean,
I do.
it's true. It's out there now. It's out in the universe. Yeah, I did. To a super PAC.
Through a super PAC. So your corporation donated 1.2 million dollars to the Barack Obama super PAC.
No. To a super PAC that backs Obama. He didn't have a super PAC.
Why do you think that someone like Praz, who has been out of the limelight for a while, financially good, but not at a level of a Jay-Z or or even maybe even a 50 Cent at his height, he's donating over $1 million of his own money into the political process. But you never really hear of anyone else in the hip hop community really doing that.
Well, first, I hope he didn't. I hope he bundled that and didn't actually pull out cash, just because of campaign financing. But I think he has a belief in an investment in the Obama administration, the Obama campaign. And it's funny, when I was in Denver in '08 when Obama was getting nominated, I saw so many rappers in the audience, so many people, so many actresses, everybody showing him love in a way that I hadn't seen for any other presidential campaign. So I think Obama resonated with them in a very different way. And also I think it has to do with the kind of coming of age of hip hop. Hip hop was always the kind of rage against the machine, challenge the state. And then suddenly hip hop has gotten older. And there's a generation of MCs that aren't 18 anymore. They got kids and they're thinking about the world in a different way. And many of them are mainstream Democrats now. And so they've grown up and got the minivan, so to speak, and Obama in some ways represents that for them in the best ways possible and some of the most troublesome ways possible. Like all black people, I think there was an investment in saying my president is black. I think some of the hip hop generation did donate money. I think they just weren't public about it. I know some MCs in particular, some of the big names who I know who donated a ton of money, but also did surrogate work. They went state to state stumping for Obama. They did other things to make the campaign happen.
Do you know? Can you say who that is?
No. But
okay.
But what I will say is that the hip hop generation, I think, and hip hop artists of this generation are very active in the Obama campaign. For me, what I want to see is a bit more of I want to see a return to the challenge of the presidency. I want hip hop to be the one saying, "What are y'all doing? We need to do more." When there's not a black guy in office, I'm hoping, whether it's Hillary or whether it's Trump, I hope that the hip hop artists will be making music once again telling us that we got to stop these wars, that we got to stop the occupation of Palestine, that we have to stop police terrorism, that we have to stop giving all our money to Wall Street, that we have to end rape culture. I want to see the hip hop generation really speak out and follow that tradition that we've always been a part of from the 80s forward, really from the 70s forward.
Well, I mean, as someone who's involved in the political world, what does it mean when an individual gives $1 million to a campaign?
Well, typically what happens when people are donating large sums of money or allowing large sums of money to be made, usually through bundling and other things, or donating, to your point, like $1 million to an actual super PAC or something, there is influence that can be wielded. There are favors to be asked. $1 million isn't a lot of money in politics. I mean, it's a lot of money. You definitely gonna get a phone call. You definitely gonna get invited to like the cool shit if you arrange for anybody to get $1 million. $1 million is $1 million. But it's not the kind of influence where like you have to worry about, like, Praz ain't shaping policy. But he is someone in the room. He is someone who earns the respect. Some of it for celebrities is ego. Some of it is just wanting to be able to say, I can get the president on the phone. That's worth a lot, right? But some of it is genuinely believing in the project of justice and democracy and freedom, and they believe Obama can lead that. They're going to move in that direction. Now, if you don't believe that, that's a different thing. People in politics generally donate large sums of money so that they can get favors and so that they can inform policy, so that they can get their agenda squarely, whether it's reproductive rights, whether it's guns, whether it's environmental activism, whatever it is. Your money is your entry point in the room.
Well, you and I are a similar age. And I remember watching a Chris Rock special when there was a rumor that Colin Powell was going to run for vice president. Do you remember this whole thing?
Yeah.
And he said, you'll never get a black vice president because the first thing that'll happen is the president will get killed, and the vice president will become the president. And whoever kills him is going to be a hero in jail. Lo and behold, 9 years later, we have a black president.
Black president, yes.
Black president for 2 terms. Now, you have actually said that the Barack Obama presidency is overrated. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'm critical of it. Overrated depends on it depends on who's rating it, right? But yes, I don't think it's been as successful a presidency as other people have. Yeah.
Okay, and why is that?
Because I'm looking at the entire world. There have been some extraordinary gains. The most significant piece of domestic policy that we've seen since the Voting Rights Act of '65 comes with the passage of universal health care under Barack Obama. The end of Don't Ask, Don't Tell comes under Barack Obama. Gay marriage, Barack Obama. All these things come under an Obama administration. So let's not pretend that nothing has happened. My point isn't that nothing has happened. It's that the most vulnerable are still catching hell, and there's been a considerable amount of work that could have been done to target those vulnerable populations, and we haven't really done that. And when I look globally, the suffering is even more expansive. When I look globally, I look at Syrians, I look at Palestinians, I look at people in Yemen, I look at people in Afghanistan, I look at people in Somalia, I look at people anywhere actually on the continent of Africa, and I see exploitation, I see social misery, I see random violence, and I see a United States machine that has either been behind it, enabled it, or stood back and didn't do anything to stop it. So if I was fighting against the war in '04 against Bush, and if I was saying in '07, look, I hate these predator drones that are killing innocent people, the fact that those predator drones now have an Obama sticker on them instead of a Bush sticker doesn't make you feel any better if you're getting hit with them in Yemen or Somalia. Doesn't make you feel better in Afghanistan. Doesn't make you feel better, when you're on the wrong side of American democracy. And so I think as we celebrate Obama for his achievements, and as we are quite honest and eyes wide open about how much we love that family, there's something psychologically beautiful about seeing a black family in the White House, seeing those wonderful children grow up in front of us, seeing Michelle Obama, who is by far the coolest first lady we've ever had in the history of any country in the world. All of that is dope, all of it. But my job as a critic, my job as an activist, my job as an intellectual is to tell the truth and keep track of suffering. And suffering also expanded under this administration. And my job is to challenge it.
Well, I mean, I can't really speak on the global implications of the Obama administration because I'm not as familiar with that. But I can tell you, as someone who is in the business world, America was on the brink in 2007, 2008. Like the mess that Bush left to Obama with the housing crash, the stock market crash, jobs were fucked up. Like people always like to say like Obama has done nothing for the economy. Like you're really tripping right now.
That's bonkers.
2008 was fucked up. And as someone who has a large amount of money in the stock market and gets to see what happens month after month, year after year, and the stock market is indicative of what's happening with businesses, stocks don't go up when businesses lose money. Stocks only go up when businesses make more and more money. So to pull America out of the brink, which really could have gone either way. We could be in a depression right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the worst case scenario, yeah, we could be Greece. We could be worse than the depression, right?
We could be Greece.
Right.
We could be Greece right now. And I've been to Greece, actually. Yeah. I was there right when everything was falling apart, and it was fucked up. It was dangerous to be in the streets. To actually say, to see what Obama has done, it kind of bothers me to say, when I hear people criticizing him and say that he's overrated and that type of thing, from my personal opinion.
Well, I mean, I think, again, overrated, it would be like if I said an athlete was overrated who averaged 25 points a game. Like I might, what I mean? That doesn't mean they didn't put up numbers, doesn't mean they're not talented. Overrated just means, not over celebrated. That maybe what we're saying is there isn't all there. Again, I could list accomplishments of the Obama administration. And yes, he inherited a mess from George W. Bush. But the first thing we have to understand is that the economic mess that Barack Obama inherited, he inherited not just from Bush, he inherited from Clinton, from Reagan, from Daddy Bush, right? There's been 30 years of deregulation. There's been 30 years of hands-off corporations. There's been 30 years of exploiting vulnerable citizens. And so that logic all comes to a head in the bubble bursts, as you know, right in time for an Obama administration to come in and save it. An extraordinary move, no doubt about that. But as you mentioned, when I'm looking at the S&P, or if I'm looking at any measure of America's economic vitality, you're right. Things are much better. People have confidence in the stock market. We've avoided the fiscal cliff. We avoided the debt ceiling. All the shit that like makes you feel like there's constant panic. We've avoided. I mean, that takes some stewardship. I don't deny that. But again, my concern isn't that Wall Street's okay. I'm worried about Martin Luther King Boulevard. And all the financial rescues that happened for Wall Street didn't make it to MLK. And that's my concern. So we still have everyday people who didn't get the type of economic relief that they needed. We have students who never got the kind of forbearance on loans and the kind of debt forgiveness that corporations got. You know, that's what I'm talking about. And that's what gets ignored. We have programs like My Brother's Keeper, which sound great, but that's not public policy, that's philanthropy, right? We've even privatized public policy. I'm not saying don't celebrate Obama at all. I'm not saying don't pat Obama on the back for the good things, but I'm saying let's not let him off the hook for other things. I could look at George W. Bush and say, yeah, I mean, AIDS funding in Africa went up more under him than any other president in the last 50 years. I could say that and it would be true, right? I could say George W. Bush put forth one of the more progressive immigration policies. It didn't, nothing happened with it, but he put forth one of the more progressive immigration policies of the last 20 years. You know, amnesty, family reconciliation, all that stuff. But I'd be a fool to focus on that and ignore the fact that he put us in the war in Iraq. I'd be a fool to ignore, you know what I mean? I could name 15 other things he didn't do. So for me, it's not about trashing Obama. It's about three things. We respect him, because a lot of people don't. White supremacy is prevalent. Obama has been the most disrespected president in American history. We have to respect him. We also have to protect him, right? I have to defend him against the irrational Fox News criticism that comes, the irrational Donald Trump criticism, right? The kind of stuff you just pointed out. But then I also have to correct him. So you can respect him and protect him, but you must also correct him. And correction is what makes presidents great. Lincoln is great because of Frederick Douglass. My job, not individually, because I don't have delusions of grandeur. I don't think I'm Frederick Douglass. I think collectively we're Frederick Douglass. We have to be Obama's Frederick Douglass. And in a few months, 6 months from now, we're going to have to be somebody else's Frederick Douglass.
What do you think about the whole situation?
Man, my point of view, man, I really feel like they tried to paint a bad picture on my brother and tried to make him look like he was a hater. It was some envy, jealousy type shit, you know what I'm saying? And actuality, you know what I'm saying? Bro been having this shit, man. He been in the condo.
I got my hat on and I had my Coke bottles up under my hat. And I'm sitting at the dinner table like an asshole with the hat on, knowing she gonna tell me to take it off. And I'm just sitting there just gulping down, you know, in my zone. She said, take that goddamn hat off at the dinner table. I'm like, come on, Mom. Coke everywhere.